Last week, I noticed some activity at the abandoned Stevens place. Someone must have moved in. And then I met them when I was out walking the next day. A man and a woman about my age. We stood on the muddy side road, just talking the way you do when you first meet somebody. About the April snowstorm. How terrible the road is, when really you're dying to find out as much as you can about them. But know you have to go slowly and reveal things about yourself, too. So they find out I'm a poet. Do you have anything published? The man asks. That's usually the first question. Okay, so we get that out of the way. What do you write about? He asks. I know that's a perfectly legitimate question, but this time, instead of saying, oh, love and death, sex, nature, you know, the usual, I say what I've always wanted to say, but never dared. I say, about is the wrong word. There's a big silence, just the suck of mud on our boots. And I'm thinking about this new word I learned, parrhesia. It means boldness of speech. And then that makes me think of an Iranian poet I recently met, the risks and abuse she takes just to speak her words, and how she never asks forgiveness before speaking boldly. She just sits there, reading to us from her laptop about her grandmother who was tied up for 10 years in her own home just because she wanted to write. I don't understand, says the woman, brushing snow off her hair. What's wrong with about? Well, it suggests the wrong kind of relationship. I'd never tried to explain it before. If you look it up in the dictionary, you'll find about means on all sides of, surrounding. But that's not good enough. You just can't write around something. Why not? She asks, looking past me at a crow taking flight. I couldn't help it. The dictionary's computer voice flew into my head. About. Take that crow, for instance. If you write about it, you measure its wings, the distance from beak to eye. But that's not the crow. It's just its skin, not the essence. Think of all the ways you can talk about black. Not just black, but black as holes, as humor, diamonds and flies. Then there's black as ice and magic and sheep, pepper, moods, or black as berries, the inside of tornadoes, the throats of squirrels, black as hell, as midnight and thunder. Does that make any sense? She nodded her head. I thought that would be the end of the conversation, but they invited me in for a beer. We talked about the cost of plastic pipes and heating oil. Just as I was leaving, standing in the freshly drywalled kitchen, the woman asked, "What comes after writing from?" "Maybe you write toward something," I said. "From a crow, towards its crowness. But you don't know what that isn't until you're done." "Aren't you writing about Ireland? You said you just came back from there." "Well, kind of. I just want to start from how I felt being a tourist this time, passing by a gravesite or driving through the landscape instead of walking through it for days and days. All we did was pass by. I want to pass through. Like grief, you've got to sit with it, not push it aside to get on with things. Why passing, she asked. Well, maybe because passing has so many meanings. Passing on, like a tradition. Passing on what we say instead of dying. Or passing for, when you pretend you're something you're not. A passing fancy, she said. Right. We pass judgment, past sentence. Yeah, and how about a pass? Right, or a narrow gap between mountains. There must be at least 50 meanings. I can't really write about Ireland. I was just passing by. Writing about, that's what I do in our garden journal. At 7 a.m., it was 3 degrees, sunny. The fritillaria are up 6 inches. It's like saying, have a nice day. About is a smiley face. I'm using images taken on the fly, through the car window, out the airplane, to suggest passing. That's the big metaphor. But so much of the time, we're passing by, not through. We're just talking about. Oh, she said, as we stepped onto the porch. Oh.
Lighting will guide you to an exit. The exits nearest to you are now being pointed out by the cabin crew. Please bear in mind that your nearest exit may be behind you.